Hey there, everybody. Matt Carter here from CarterMatt.com.
And Jessica Carter here, also from CarterMatt.com.
And we are actually going to discuss Game of Thrones. I am so excited for this. In this video, we are talking Season 8, Episode 2 is airing on HBO tonight. Obviously, huge spoilers
Massive
in this video. Spoilers that are so big, all of the dragons would be terrified of them. So be prepared. Things are going to get crazy here. Just telling you now, we've each had our drinks. We have shared our tales.
We have.
How many
and
giants
we got
have
most
we
of our drinks actually in our mouths and not all over ourselves.
Tormund may be the worst house guest.
You love him.
I am hashtag Team Tormund. I love me some Tormund. He is the man.
Loves him.
Let me say this. I think I would have thrown him out, though, after he told me that story.
Yeah, I may have thrown him. Well, I probably wouldn't have let him in the front door, but
yeah.
You would have, and so there we would be.
Tormund gave his version of the Joker talking about how he got his scars tonight, where I feel like every time someone asked him about how he got his name, he probably has a different story for it.
Yeah, probably.
That's just my feeling. But this was a weird episode in a lot of ways, because it kind of simmered down to, I almost compare it to that these people were all in prison and they were just given their last meal and they're like trying to figure out.
And they're just waiting to die.
Yeah, they're like figuring out what they're going to do, how they're going to hang out before they get their lethal injection. And, you know, here's Coco Vanderwolf taking over a part of the bottom of the screen here. But and
she's our dire wolf.
Yeah, she's the dire wolf from the occasion, also kind of camera shy apparently. But so they were all trying to figure out, okay, how do we handle this potential last day for us on Earth? And I think we saw this kind of manifest itself in a lot of different interesting ways.
Yeah, a lot of different ways, with my favorite one being all about Brienne.
All right, so tell us why you liked Brienne so much.
I just love that she, she has been on this journey to be this warrior, to be this protector, knowing that she's a woman and that she was never going to ever be able to be a knight. So to see her have that moment and to see that it was Jaime that, gave her that moment, that smile that she had on her face, I was crying. It was so good.
Game of Thrones hot take tonight. Is Jaime the best character on Game of Thrones?
He might be for you.
Let's just talk this out here. I'm not saying I like Jaime the most. I'm not saying I would probably rather hang out with Brienne than Jaime if I'm making a list of Game of Thrones people I want to party with.
Why is Jaime the best character on Game of Thrones for you?
Because of the fact that he is he's complicated, he's convoluted, he is someone who I feel like when you see him on the screen, you don't necessarily know for sure, which way he's going to kind of oscillate on the pendulum. I think there's an element of surprise with him somewhat in comparison. You know what Daenerys is going to do at this point. She's going to come out, she's going to be like, bend the knee or else to everyone, and she's going to do that.
I have a hot take on that, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, we got your hot take on Daenerys, but I feel like that with Jaime you just don't know, and there's excitement there. And I'm not saying he's a redemptive character, but I enjoy the Jaime Lannister attempts to redeem himself.
Well, Jaime has over time done the right thing on more occasions than I think people give him credit for. Even before he was on this kind of redemption tour, he killed the Mad King. He felt that things were going really sideways.
Yeah.
He was going to kill a whole bunch of people. He was not obviously loved for what he did and his decision, but he felt like he was doing the right thing. And it feels like he's always kind of been about the kingdom, more so than about necessarily a queen or a king or even his sister or his family.
Yeah.
It's really, there is always been that part of Jaime, even when he was a young lion, as he likes to call himself, that, he does fundamentally want to do the right thing.
He's got a code. He's a little bit like Dexter Morgan with Tywin's Tywin's like Harry. He's not really like Dexter Morgan. I just wanted to say that Tywin was like the Harry Morgan. But I loved Jaime in this episode. I loved, this is the thing. Jaime comes into a scene and I'm all in on it. That's really the thing. It's I'm just fascinated by watching this guy. I love the scene at the start of it when he comes in with Daenerys, and this was my Brienne moment when Brienne like starts talking about like why Jaime should be brought in and be a part of the team.
Absolutely, she's such a great character. I love her so much.
Yeah, like I was just like, I have never loved you as much, Brienne, as I love you in this particular scene. You just come on, stand up for Jaime. I don't want Jaime to die now. He can die in a week when the Battle of Winterfell comes. But
and he very well may.
Yeah, he very well may. So I don't need Jaime to go just yet. We also had, the Jaime Bran scene, which I think has been like, I don't know, ever since the end of the pilot in the making.
Yeah, there has been where, these two do have a connection, and there's lots of people out there that are shipping these two, and, I can see why, but, I just love this friendship, and that there is something really special between them, and this really amazing respect between them that I never saw coming.
Yeah, Jaime and Brienne, they have something that I don't think a lot of other characters on this show have, and they bring something to it. It's kind of like yin and yang, because we have them, and then we have Jaime and Bran, which is this relationship that was sort of bent out of hatred originally, and kind of bent out of this huge moment from the very start of this series. But are they better now? Question mark.
I don't know. Bran was basically like, we need you alive, and once it's over, I don't care what happens to you. So are they better? Probably not. But Bran's looking at the bigger picture.
Yeah, he's looking at something. This is my other hot take. I don't feel Bran. I'm done with Bran. I like the beautiful visuals of Bran around the tree, all that sort of stuff. I thought that scene with Bran and Jaime where they're out there in the snow, it looks cool. I'm out on Bran otherwise.
I've been out on Bran since the beginning. I've never connected with Bran ever. So I just, it can go on by.
Bran brought me Hodor. And I think I give Bran... Okay, don't you start slandering the Hodor's name.
I'm not, but there's nothing that Bran has brought me that will make me be like, yeah, I'm all in on Bran. I can take Bran, I can leave Bran. There's been nothing that's been able to be sort of relatable for me to be able to really connect with this character ever. And now he's super on another planet, so I really I'm not there with the three-eyed raven and all this magical wonderness that's going on in his mind. I just can't.
I feel like the problem with the three-eyed raven stuff, at least to me, is that it really kind of puts you in a different world than the rest of the show sometimes, and because we don't fully understand all the mythos around it, it becomes kind of very difficult and then confusing to really kind of go along with it.
Yeah, I almost feel like there needed to be a Bran spinoff. Now, as someone who is not into Bran, I probably wouldn't watch it, but it does feel like there is a lot behind Bran that we just have not had time to really understand and get into that, and that, all that mythology behind what's going on.
Yeah.
So I'm not connected.
Can you imagine what happened if Game of Thrones used one of their final 4 episodes and just gave you an hour of what's in Bran's head? People would be sending David Benioff and Weiss right down the moon door.
Right out the moon door.
It would be done. That would be it. But no. All right. So.
Well, speaking of things that are last night, we're gonna check off the
Oh
list.
boy, here we go.
We need to talk about Arya for a second here. I have never been the biggest Arya stan here, but I love the character. Yeah. I've always loved the journey of this character. I love the actress behind this character, the story of this character. For me, I just never really got that into it, but I love this journey of this woman who's becoming this warrior, who's this ninja, who's just this incredible assassin, and that is what she is. She's that in her heart, she's in her soul, in her mind. There is nothing else about her. She has become this. And it's hard to remember that she is actually also a human being.
Yes.
She's not like Bran, who's I'm no longer Bran. I'm this three-eyed raven, and I don't know who anybody else is. So she is still a human, and, I get that. And as a human, she wanted to, have sex on her last night, and, that's fine. But for me, I could have gone the entire series not only just never seeing her have that moment, but not really seeing her have a lot of other sort of human moments outside of her family. Like, I love the Arya that is connected to her family and fiercely loyal to her family, and this bad ass assassin that is what she embodies, and her having sex took me out of it completely. Not just because the actress is very young looking. I'm fully aware she's 22. You don't need to put it in the comments and tell me that she's 22 years old. I totally get it. She doesn't look like she's 22. So it was a bit of an awkward scene for me to watch in the first place because she looks so young, and then you bring in this other character who looks so much older than her. It made her look even younger. But for me, I really it took away from the character for me. I wanted to just see her grow into this amazing, beautiful assassin, and that the night before, that she's ready for her biggest battle that she was ever going to face, that I would see her, spending some time with her family, getting a good night's sleep, and training and making sure that she's ready for this, because there is nothing bigger than what she's about to face.
I'm a little all over the place on this because I think one of the biggest issues I have with it mostly is if that was going to be a part of the episode, okay, whatever. But Gendry, it's just I don't really have that much of an attachment to Arya and Gendry anymore, really, just because Gendry, he was on a boat for 4 seasons, and I just don't really
Well, and for me, he was always sort of this older brother type character that would, he's not taking care of her because she can always take care of herself, but had that kind of that feeling about him. So I had a little bit of an ick factor going on there, that if she was going to choose somebody, you could have chose differently.
Well,
maybe.
Let's follow the thread of the ick factor here, because we gotta talk about the biggest moment at the end of this episode, Daenerys and Jon. There are so many things that are awkward about this. I feel like it's number one, the fact that it's right before the biggest battle of their entire lives, and Jon is oh, hey, guess what? Yeah, I'm the true heir, not you. Bye.
Yeah, and it was interesting because, him talking about it, he didn't even bring that up, because this is something that Jon has never cared about at all, and I still don't think he really cares about it that much. It's not really what he's about or what's in his heart. I found it the most interesting that he's telling her, by the way, we're related, and that's just that's not anything. I just care that I'm not going to be on the throne, and that's where my hot take about Daenerys is that I'm really over this. It's you're about to die, you're having sex with your nephew, and all you care about is the throne. Enough. There are moments that matters, and this isn't one of them. It's just not one of them, because if you really love Jon, you already know that he doesn't care about the throne. So, that's a conversation for another time. Instead, the conversation needs to be, we're related and we had sex, and that's a problem.
Well, this is the thing about it with me, is this isn't Arya and Gendry to me, where it's I didn't need to see that. But, with Daenerys, I'm fine if Daenerys wants to continue to go down this road of just slowly just becoming this just really not likable character, because it's interesting to me. It is the absolute power corrupts absolutely thing in Game of Thrones, and it's she's building her own resume as to why she should not be on the Iron Throne at the end of this.
Well, that was one of the moment for me in this whole episode, was watching Tyrion and Jaime walk and talk a little bit about Daenerys being, the queen and this sort of thing. Because we've got Jaime, who killed her father because he went mad with power and was going to kill a bunch of people. Now we've got Daenerys, and they're having this talk where Tyrion is all in on her, and normally even when he's all in on someone, he'll still listen to kind of the reason of, where Jaime's kind of skipping around this, how do we know that this isn't gonna happen a second time? And we've seen Daenerys be like, bend the knee or get burned by dragons, which already is a little bit crazy. Like, you don't need to rule that way. You can get people to bend the knee because they want to, because you're their queen and they want to follow you. But she's a lot like Cersei in that way, or her dad in that way. Do it or you die. And it's getting a little scary, Could she turn into her dad? Yeah,
I think
maybe.
She could turn into her dad, and this is why I feel like as we kind of start to look ahead here, because I think these final 4 episodes are going to be a pretty big deal, and I'm already starting to formulate some of my predictions for what could be happening at this Battle of Winterfell. I think Daenerys dying is an outcome here, and if it's not in this episode, I think the events and her behavior in this episode could dictate a possible Daenerys death, maybe close to the series finale, because I don't know if the message of Game of Thrones is, okay, the person who's going to be on the Iron Throne is the person who is like this, which is kind of a bittersweet ending, or if it's that, okay, you're going to be like this, Daenerys, we've already had you, we don't need to have you now.
Yeah, exactly, and it would, be kind of an interesting circle that we end up with another Mad King sort of thing by the end of this, that nothing has changed, that, there's always going to be someone on the throne who is not supposed to be there.
Yeah, and I think that's just kind of the interesting thing about it, is I'm really compelled with watching Daenerys, but it's also interesting at the same time that this character, who I remember in the early seasons, she was very much still, to me at least at that point, kind of the likable underdog, and now she's the favorite. She's basically like a sports team who started off really bad and they were just kind of the lovable losers, but now she's got all the all-stars on her team and she's got everything and she's expected to win, and now it's not fun to root for her anymore.
Well, yeah, and for me, I've never been the biggest Daenerys fan. Yeah. I did like her when she was with Drogo, but that's because secretly in my heart, I knew that he was going to go on to be Aquaman.
Okay, all right. Let's not go down the Aquaman road here.
But anyways, I've never really been the biggest fan of hers, but the past 3 seasons or 4 seasons, she's just, collecting armies and getting really mad with power. It's just been the same thing over and over again with her. And even when she was trying to have that talk with Sansa where she was like, oh, I was so close to the throne. I gave it up because I love Jon and I came here. It was like, Sansa's not buying this and I'm also not buying this. You're not here only because you love Jon. You're here because you need Jon, and you need this army to stop what's happening so that you can be the queen. That's why you're here.
Yeah. That was Daenerys using her manipulation skills to the best of her ability. And I don't know if Sansa really bought it, but she bought it enough to at least realize that, okay, I kind of need her here. I just got to deal with this.
Yeah.
All right, so Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 3. Next week. Potentially, this is going to be the Battle of Winterfell, one of the longest battle scenes ever filmed for television. I've heard stories about how exhausting this was to shoot, months, just night after night after night after night. All right, let's make some predictions here. I'm going to give you a prediction of who I think could die at the end of this.
Okay.
I'm going to say and this is going to break my heart, given everything I just talked about. I think we're going to lose Jaime. I think we're going to lose Brienne. I think we're going to lose them both. I think Brienne had her moment to time.
I just felt my heart sink into my stomach.
She just became Sir Brienne. She has pretty much everything that she ever could possibly want.
Right.
And I think Jaime, he's going to have his moment to kind of die the hero that he has not been in the past. And I think then you're going to have that really nice full circle moment. Maybe we'll lose some other people like Davos Seaworth, don't do this to me. But I hope that we have at least a reasonable amount of likable characters on the other side of this.
Yeah, I hope so. The person that I'm actually really worried about is Arya, but...
Yeah, I could see that.
I just, I really want to see her come out on the other side of this because we're going to need her.
Yeah, Probably so. Like, if somebody, like, really bad ends up surviving and ending up on the throne.
Yeah, and ending up on the throne, we need her. And after that conversation with, Sansa and Daenerys about, hey, we've liberated the North, and we are going to continue to be liberated. What's going to happen when you're on the throne? And all of a sudden, of course, Daenerys is like... I'm gonna rule it all and die in a fire.
Course.
Like, it was just, we're gonna need an Arya to step up and be like, okay, we need to take care of this.
Yeah, seriously. All right, well, let's wrap this up unless you have any more thoughts on this episode that we haven't gotten to.
No, that was the main stuff for me.
All right, so we will be back discussing all sorts of TV news here on the channel. If you like this video, give us a like, subscribe. Let us know what you thought about this Game of Thrones episode in the comments. This was a lot of fun, and you can support us by checking out the link to the CarterMatt store in the description below. And we will see you guys here next time.